What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise Postgame Show. Here on a Wednesday night, the Blazers had a miracle happen as Jerami Grant hits a buzzer beater in regulation, fading away to send the game to overtime, where the Blazers then take care of business and beat the Rockets 137 to 131. This is going to be an interesting postgame show, Eric, because we get to talk about the opposite of what we got to talk about last night, where the Blazers got screwed late in a close game. This time the Blazers win a game in overtime, and you had some good performances across the board, at least statistically. Anfernee Simons, good game. Malcolm Brogdon had a couple clutch buckets late. Deandre Ayton had a good stat line. And we're going to talk about it all tonight here on the postgame show presented by BetUS. Eric, man, instant takeaways from whatever this game was. It was quite a game.
Yeah, I thought there was some really good moments. Of course, there were some bad moments as well, but overall, I think I liked the effort in this game. Until the fourth quarter, I liked that they were taking care of the ball. They only had 4 turnovers at halftime. I think they only had 1 in the third quarter. And then, of course, the wheels fall off in the fourth quarter. I think both teams feel like they probably let the fourth quarter slip away at different points. The Rockets more so at the end, up 4 with, under 20 seconds left. You have to win that game, just like we talked about the Blazers being up 5 with 29 seconds left last night and losing in regulation. But yeah, I thought for the most part there were some pretty good performances, and at least on the offensive end. And yeah, it was kind of a fun game.
Yeah. Second night of a back-to-back, impressive to go on the road, especially into a place against a team like Houston, who might be trending towards kind of what we expected. Like, they started off the season pretty hot, but now fall to 3 games under 500, and it's going to be interesting to see where this team is at the end of the season. But they've been a 500 team all year, and you're on the road. This is the type of game where the Blazers at the start of the month would have gotten absolutely blown out. I think the effort level is a little better. It's always easy to give effort when you're hitting shots, and that's what the Blazers did. Brogdon, Simons, and Thibault all shoot the 3 ball well. Brogdon 3 for 7, Simons 4 for 9, Thibault 3 for 4. He was 5 for 7, 13 points for Thibault. Might be a season high for him. Pretty good game for him. So across the board offensively, things were rolling for this team. They were taking care of the ball. And Simons was cooking for the better part of this game. He had a great game, 33 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 13 for 20, and 4 for 9 from 3 for him. And this offense is set up in a way where if Anfernee Simons has a really good game, the team should be able to have a really good game, because everything kind of starts and stops with him, much in the same way of how it started and stopped with Dame. When you have a pretty ISO-heavy, pick-and-roll-heavy offense, your lead guard is going to dictate a lot of things, and Simons was killing this Houston defense to the point where they were sending double teams at him pretty consistently, a second body at him pretty consistently, which of course opens up things for other guys, including a Malcolm Brogdon, who was 8 for 19. Deandre Ayton was 8 for 13. Finally, an efficient night from him. And then off the bench, Reith 4 for 7, Thibault 5 for 7, as I said. So efficient night. The Blazers shoot 50, 40, 90 in this game. They shoot 51% from the field, 43% from 3, 92% from the free throw line. So that level of efficiency is what got it into overtime. Defensively, probably not much to write home about with this game. Pretty brutal defensive game there until overtime. The Rockets had 124 in regulation, but only 7 points in the 5-minute overtime. So the Blazers clamped up late, got a few stops late. So I guess that's the positive. But this was a high-scoring affair, and for a bad Blazers offense to put up this many points is impressive.
Yeah, I was curious what the Rockets shot. 53.2% overall, 33.3% from 3, and 86.4% from the line. But we were both teams were 12 for 30 at one point, so they missed our last 6 threes, and we hit 3 out of our last 5. So that's pretty much the difference right there.
Yeah, got hot at the right time, and the threes Houston missed down the stretch were makeable threes. Aaron Holiday missed a pretty open one in overtime. We saw him hit a three earlier in the game. He he was 2 for 3 from three, but he missed the last one. Rockets started missing shots when the game got tight. The Blazers, for one, started making shots. Normally it's the other way around. And there was a stretch there in the fourth quarter. I thought the Blazers were going to have a offensive lull where they had 4 out of 5 possessions with a turnover. The other possession was a badly missed three, but they're able to get shots late. Malcolm Brogdon hits an insane three to cut the game to 1 with 3.2 remaining or something like that. Like, Blazers were down 4 with 4 seconds remaining, essentially. As Malcolm Brogdon's 3-point shot was in the air from the corner, heavily contested. That goes in.
I thought they were going to run out of time because that was... Yeah. They needed to go fast, and of course they didn't, and yeah.
Yeah, and then they have to foul twice. They hadn't committed their foul to give yet, so they have to foul twice. Somehow 1.6 comes off the clock. I think that they fouled quicker than that. I thought more time went off the clock than should have went off the clock, but of course, the Blazers, with a timeout in their pocket, call timeout, advance the ball after the Rockets make 2 free throws, so they go back down to 3, and that's when you get the Jerami Grant buzzer beater miracle, man. Just leaning completely sideways, banks it in. The play was bad. That final possession was just kind of shocking that the Blazers were able to not only get a 3 off in the first place, given how much they struggled inbounding the ball, but then for it to go in was wild. Maybe should have been a 5-second call, but I'm not complaining after the Blazers got screwed last night. I guess that's fair. I have to go back and actually time it, but man,
I'm sure there'll be some videos counting that down from Houston fans.
Oh, I'm sure. But that final play, just lobbing it over the top to the other side of the court to Grant, who has to take a dribble to even get open. I didn't even know if he had time to take a dribble, considering there was only 1.6 on the clock. So
did he dribble?
Yeah, he caught the ball kind of in his one hand and put it on the floor. Yeah.
See, I thought it was, but then I watched the replay several times and I couldn't tell on my phone whether he dribbled or not, because I thought initially he traveled again.
No.
The back view doesn't look like he dribbled.
It looked to me like he dribbled. I don't know. Chat, did he dribble or did he not dribble? I mean, this just encapsulates how crazy this game was, man. Wild stuff.
I don't know, man. I'm so confused. Some angles it looks like he dribbled, some it doesn't. Slim says he didn't dribbled. No dribble from G Wilkers.
Let me look it up on Twitter.
It didn't dribble.
I swear he dribbled.
No, I think it's going to be called a travel in the last 2-minute report again. It looks like he's going to dribble and then he picks it up and
did he really gather it like that? Okay.
Yeah. Because I immediately said in the group chat that was, we got away with the travel again. And then I second guessed myself because I thought he did dribble, and then I watched it from the backside and it didn't look like he dribbled. I was so confused.
That's wild. Yeah he gathered it down in a way that it made it look like he might have dribbled. I thought he dribbled. Call that the Jerami Grant gather, Eric, where he just takes 3 steps while he's gathering and then another 2 and gets off a buzzer beater, because he did that against Phoenix last year, and that was a topic of contention for Suns fans. Suns fans lost their mind on that, even though in the grand scheme of things that game didn't really mean much for them. And then this game, yeah, he takes... How many steps does he take? Let me count.
Get the ball in.
Without playing the audio. 3 steps, but yeah, questionable call. It'll be interesting to see if in the last 2-minute report they call it a travel or not. And
do you know who that was, Dory?
Who?
It was Rich.
Why is Rich call it?
I was like, why are you calling me in the middle of a stream? This better be important. No, just kidding.
What did he say?
He didn't think we had gone live yet, because it's usually a few minutes. Yeah, man.
If only there was a way for him to check to see if we went live or not, aka having on his phone notifications by hitting subscribe and hitting the bell icon.
He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, streaming.
Postgame show? Yeah.
Love you, Rich.
Shout out to Wes Davison for becoming a starter level member. Appreciate you, West. Thank you for joining the Uprise cult. The Uprising. Anyway, where do you want to start with kind of diving into some of the play in this game? First thing I see is the minutes. You know, it's second night of a back-to-back overtime game. You got 4 players playing at least 41 minutes. You got...
Yeah, but all those players would have only played 36. I'm fine with that. You can't really account for overtime.
Yeah. Scoop plays 24. I want to get Scoop more minutes. He started off this game pretty good, actually, and then missed some shots and ended up with an inefficient night. But thought had a couple impressive plays there during this game, and 24 minutes for him would like to get him a little bit more than that. Play the starters heavy minutes. Jabari Walker is the only starter that didn't play heavy minutes. He plays 24. He did have 4 fouls. Yeah. So 4 fouls for him. But yeah, Jerami Grant 43 minutes. Ayton, Brogdon, and Simons all played 41. Second night of a back-to-back. Yeah, overtime game's a little different. You know, if this went into double overtime, they would have played even more. But yeah, that minutes breakdown is interesting. But I'll leave it up to you. Like, who do you want to talk about first? Who do you want to go in depth on first with this game?
Let's talk about Deandre Ayton.
Yeah. I'll let you go because I feel like you have more positive things to say than I do.
Well, I know based on what we were talking about last night and, you know, what we were talking about all season. And also, I don't know if you guys saw, but he had an Instagram post today with some lyrics talking about just stacking his money and stuff. like the self-awareness on this dude is ridiculous. But so I know you're the same way, Tori, but like I find myself just watching him on the court, like trying to see what he's doing, if he's hustling or whatever. Yeah, so at times in this game, I was very frustrated with him just standing there as a player went right down the middle of the lane and laid it in. But he did have some good effort plays in this game, including 6 offensive rebounds, several key ones there. Yeah, so I thought he had his moments in this game, at least, and that's more than we can say about a lot of games this season. Yeah. But at least he had some good mixed in with some of the laziness and effort issues.
Yeah, he rebounded the ball well today, and he was relatively efficient. He was 8 for 13, which is 61% from the field. You know, that's an efficient night. For him this season, he's been far more inefficient. So you just look at things in that regard, like more efficient, rebound the ball well. Also had 3 assists, which might be a season high. Yeah, good statistical game for sure. Made an impact. Had some good defensive moments. Also had like 6 or 7 moments in this game that made me want to pull my hair out. That's just the DeAndre Ayton experience, I guess. But there was, you're right. There is stretches where I pay extra attention to him, where I maybe notice something that I wouldn't notice with other players. There was a few too many plays in this game, especially early on in this game, where it was just clearly low effort plays from him that was frustrating. So would like to see the hustle a little bit more consistently than just sporadic. But it's kind of sad because we're at a point where, like, if he makes a couple of hustle plays, it's like, oh my goodness, he made a couple of hustle plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which he did. You know, I'm not trying to discount him or discredit him. It's just like I wish that was kind of the status quo and not something that's like, oh my goodness, he actually had a couple of hustle plays in this game.
Yeah, it's tough because, like, there was a play at the beginning of the game where there was a pick and roll between Van Vliet and Şengün, and he was kind of sagging over towards Fred Van Vliet, and Fred dropped it off to Şengün, and Ayton had enough time to get back and contest, and he just stood there and watched as Şengün dribbled right past him to the hoop. And I'm just like, oh my God, not this again. But he did have some moments where he did do a good job of recovering back, and I'd like him to be more consistent with his effort and have that all the time. Whether he needs to play a little less minutes to have that happen or not, I don't know. But I would like to see him have that effort a little more often.
Yeah. It's just crazy how this, like a game in overtime where he plays 41 minutes, has 18 points, feels like a great scoring night from him. You know, this is what he averaged last year, Eric, on about the same shooting.
Mm-hmm.
In less minutes. So it's kind of crazy.
I do like, okay, so we talked about this last game because someone brought up, well, he's not getting the opportunities to score, you know. And that's where I will always say, especially as a center, an athletic 7-foot center, you should be able to make opportunities by going after offensive rebounds. Like, no one should be able to stop you from getting cleaning up the glass. And so tonight it was good to see that. And then there was also one play in particular. I don't know how he made the shot, but he had a post up against Şengün and went strong right at him, put his shoulder into him, got some space, and went around the hoop. And he threw up some weird fadeaway hook that banked in. So, like, the shot wasn't great, but like, I love that he was aggressive. And I've mentioned this before, I haven't in a while, but early in his career in the NBA, he would do those spin moves he does, but he would do them to the basket, and he would go strong at the basket, and he was quick enough and athletic enough to get around people, a lot like Şengün did several times in this game. And somewhere along the line, he started fading away or just shooting mid-range shots on those spins instead of going to the hoop. And I just wish he would go back to how it was. I don't think it's going to happen very often, but yeah, I was glad to see just at least a couple things. One is, if you're not getting post-up opportunities, create your own opportunities with offensive rebounds. So he did that tonight. And then he did get a post-up where he took it strong. Like, hopefully he can build on that. But I guess baby steps, right?
I mean, I don't expect this to be more than just a good game for him, you know?
That's fair.
I'm not going to raise any of my expectations with him off of one game, you know?
I'm not
if he shows it, yeah.
I mean, saying, I hope he can build off it, but I understand.
Yeah,
we're
sure.
not expecting him to.
Yeah. I mean, I was saying I hope he can this, I hope he can that before the season. I've been burnt, so I'm kind of, you know, not bullish. But I just went back and watched some of his offensive rebounds. Some of them were just wild how they happened. Like, his first offensive rebound of the game was in late in the second quarter. It was the play where Jerami Grant missed it off the side of the backboard directly to him in the middle of the paint.
Yeah.
Like, it's just wild. One of them was off that missed alley-oop dunk that he should have thrown down. Another one of them late. The ball literally just came hard off the rim right to him. But he did have a big, like, game-sealing putback there in the
off the Brogdon
in overtime off the Brogdon miss, where he had Jalen Green behind him, and he actually boxed him out to get the putback on the offensive glass, you know? And that's been the critique of him this year, is like, he isn't boxing out enough. I mean, that's a good offensive rebound. You're not letting the little guy around you. You're actually using your body physically to keep him off the board, to get a board for yourself. So
I saw Jerami Grant actually box out like 3 or 4 times in this game.
Progress.
It wasn't very good. It looked like he had to like hold Şengün, but it was every time he got switched on him, he tried to box him out. It wasn't very good, but I was applauding his effort of actually trying to turn around and box him out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like you said, baby steps. We're getting somewhere. Hopefully. That's funny. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna talk too much more on Ayton because I just, you know, you guys know how I feel.
I mean, yeah. See, the problem, it's kind of like he encapsulates the whole, I know he hasn't been on the Blazers, prior to this season, but you know how like every time the Blazers do something good or have a couple games where they play well, and then they act like they've arrived and they're good now, and then they come out and lay a complete egg.
Yeah.
That's like Ayton as a basketball player. He's like the Portland Trailblazers the last few years. So like he'll have a game like this, and then it'll be like, "See, I told you I'm deserving a max contract," and then next game he won't be out to show anything, and like I was talking about last post game, you can't teach that guy to be wanting it all the time. He'll be selective with it, and of course he's so talented that he's going to have really good games like this, and you just hope that he can do it more often than not. But the problem is he's just not interested in doing this that much. But tonight I thought, outside of several plays that were frustrating, I thought overall you'll take this from Ayton, and I thought he played pretty well.
Yep. Let's talk about Grant, who has a career high in assists, at least according to chat, and we trust chat around here. 9 assists for Jerami Grant. I'm watching him back now. A couple of them just literally dumping the ball down to Ayton. One of them was like a handoff to Jabari, but a couple nice passes in there. One left-handed out of the post to Jabari in the corner, which is a pass that we haven't really seen Jerami Grant throw much. Him just bringing the ball up, throwing ahead in transition. 9 assists for him that's what we've been asking more from him, is just to be a little bit more of a playmaker. Some of his assists were just like flow the offense, hand the ball back to players, or just like making basic entry pass. But he did have a couple of nice moments where he, drew an extra defender on a drive and like got rid of the ball quick. That left-handed pass cross court out of the post is a tough pass that led to Jabari Walker's 3 there in the first half. So, I don't know how much credit to give him for playmaking, but I mean, a perfect example of this was that 3 that Brogdon hit with 3 seconds remaining. It was off an extra pass from Jerami Grant. The defense rotated to Jerami. He got rid of the ball. So a little bit more of a ball mover, a little less of a ball stopper in this game. And I like that from Jerami, because that's been one of our critiques, is he doesn't swing the ball when the extra pass is there, and he stops the ball a little too much. So 9 assists, great game from him in that regard.
Yeah, and his overall, I think, what he finished 9 for 21 from the field or something like that.
No, he was 5 for 12.
Oh, only 5 for 12.
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
I have no idea.
Man, I was thinking of his free throws. 9 of 11.
He had 21 points on 5 made field goals. He was 5 for 12 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, 9 for 11 from the free throw line.
Yeah, he was not. He made a few shots there at the end, but I think he was like 2 for 8 at one point, so he wasn't shooting the ball well. So it's nice to see him give it up and pass a little bit in this one. I'm not gonna ever like downplay 9 assists, but it felt like a lot of them were in the flow of the offense, much like Brogdon's assists never really seem to stand out that much. They're just like, I passed to someone who took a dribble and scored or something. It's not necessarily a great pass to get someone open.
Yeah.
Grant had, I think, other than not shooting the ball really well, I thought he had a pretty good game as well.
Yep. The one pass I want to see him make more of is the pass where he drives and draws extra defenders and kicks it out fast enough. Where he drives and is just reading the defense as he drives. Like, that's the biggest thing for me with his playmaking. Because he does get stuck with a little too much tunnel vision, so seeing a couple plays like that tonight was nice.
And just one turnover too. So
yeah, I should never complain. I will never complain about Jerami Grant having 14 combined rebounds and assists. Like, some nights we're just hoping for 4, let alone 14. So
14 ass bounds.
Ass bounds, yeah, that's what we call it. You got steals and blocks. The term for steals plus blocks is stocks, and the steals for assists plus rebounds is ass bounds, coined by Eric Brandt.
No, someone in chat coined that one.
Oh, was it chat? I thought it was you that came up with that. And you muted yourself mid-sentence, it sounded like. Anyway.
Sorry, I had to say goodnight.
You're fine. Let's see. Simons, you want to speak on him a little bit? 33 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. This is finally like the type of game he was having before he got sick, which is really good to see, I think.
Yeah, he was phenomenal tonight. Very efficient. I don't know what the heck he was thinking in the fourth quarter, though. All 3 of his turnovers happened in that quarter. He almost turned the ball over a couple more times.
Well, you know what they did? You know what they did late in the game is they just literally had him dribble the ball up top for like 15 seconds, then ran a pick. Yeah. They stopped running any offense, and it's like,
and they knew it was going to get doubled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay, now he's turning over the ball a lot. Like, it's not really a surprise if you actually like look at, how they're happening, because I feel like at least half his turnovers happen because he's stagnant and doesn't know what to do in an offense where everybody's standing waiting for him to do something.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. That's one of my biggest pet peeves is when someone's going off. I think at one point he had like 11 points in the third quarter, and he's on a heater or whatever. Like, you have to be more creative than just give him the ball and dribble it up and do pick and roll. Like, that's what drove us crazy with Dame for so many years, especially in the playoffs, where you could just load up on him and take him out of the game. It's frustrating to see him like that. But he did have 2 really nice drives, beat the double team, and then both times I thought I don't know if the passes were necessarily bad, but maybe the angles to try to get it to Ayton were bad in those situations. Throwing the behind the back pass to Ayton, with Ayton's hands, I don't think there's any way he's going to catch that. And he's not sealing his guy either, so there's going to be hands reaching in also. So it's probably not a good idea around the hoop like that to throw it low to Ayton.
There was only 4 on the shot clock.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
He got so stuck. Yeah, he got so stuck on that play, man. It's literally just driving into the paint, getting swarmed, and it's like Brogdon was open in the opposite corner, but with the defense on Simons, he wouldn't have been able to get the ball to him, which means another defender gets to double team him, and he's stuck. So
I think you either have to throw it high, not necessarily lob, but just where Ayton can catch it and just go right up. Or if you're going to bounce it, you got to bounce it so it has to get up above, like, his waist area. Anything lower than that, he's going to have trouble fielding.
Yeah. Those are the types of turnovers where I feel like a lot of people will be like, oh, that's a bad turnover from him, but I don't really know what the other option is. He had Jeff Green rotating strong onto him. He has some length, like throwing it up would have been hard too. And that's where it's like, man, late in the game, it's a tie game. Why are we stagnating so much? Why do we always stagnate so much? Legitimately, it was just an ISO with everybody standing around from 10 on the shot clock to 4 on the shot clock. The clip starts at 10 on the shot clock. Literally, everybody's standing around.
Well, you pointed out that we were starting to have one of those lulls again for a while in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and it's just because, everything stagnates. What's funny is his next turnover is basically like almost the same exact floor setup. It's just he and Grant and Jabari are just like in different spots, but it's Ayton down low, and it's 3 people on the perimeter, 2 weak side, 1 on his side of the court, where he tries to drive and they just swarm him and he gets stuck, and tries to dump it off to Ayton, and Ayton gets the ball deflected by literally the same rotating defender. It was literally like the same exact type of turnover. It wasn't a behind the back pass, but it's like driving into the paint because you have to try and make something happen, and then the defense collapses and you're stuck without an option with 4 or 5 on the shot clock. The second turnover in the final 2 minutes from Ant came with 5 on the shot clock. Mm-hmm. First one with 4 on the shot clock. So it's literally like the same exact problem there. And I think, sure, we can blame Ant for not making the right pass, but that's the perfect example of what I've been talking about, Eric, with the offense and Chauncey putting him in a real tough position, and like he's just trying to make something happen. against all odds, and that's where it's more of a criticism for Chauncey for me, especially late in games when this offense stagnates, and this type of stuff has contributed to a lot of their fourth quarter lulls that they've had this season in close games.
Mm-hmm. And we had 9 fast break points in the second half, but only 2 in the first half. And I think, at least 2 of those were off Thibault's steal, or 2 baskets, 4 of those 9 points were off Thibault steals, and another one was a basket off a Thibault steal again, but he missed the lay-in, and I forgot who followed that one up. So there's
Reith.
Reith. There's 6 of our 9 were just in that one stretch where Thibault just went crazy and started stealing the ball like a madman every possession.
He gets hot defensively. Players normally get hot offensively, but this is the second stretch like that. He had a stretch, I don't know if it was last game or the game before, but he had another stretch where he got like 3 steals in a row.
But that's one thing, it's driving me bonkers, man. It's like, why are we not pushing the tempo? Especially like when we fall behind and stuff. And we see other teams pushing it up on made baskets against us because our transition defense is awful. Yeah. And it was terrible again tonight. Yeah. We have guys that get back. They're back with the other guy. And then they just stop at the 3-point line and the other guy keeps going and they just throw it up to him. It makes no sense to me how a team could be so undisciplined with getting back in transition defense.
It's either that or they just simply don't pick up the ball, which is the number one thing. You got to stop ball in transition. So just cardinal sins from them with their transition defense. Yeah, and their transition defense in this game was pretty brutal.
I'm not trying to pick on Scoot here either, but several times a game, he's, as the point guard, almost universally, you're the guy who's supposed to be back first on defense. Unless you're the one scoring or driving into the paint, then it should be whoever is the furthest out responsibility. But there's so many times, so Scoot's starting to backpedal backwards, and he'll just come up, before he gets to half court, he'll stop and then try to go for a steal or something that has no chance of, he's not even close to getting a steal any of these times. And then someone gets an advantage down the court. And it's dude, just get back on freaking defense. I don't know why he just stops and then tries to go for it stuff sometimes. I don't know if he thinks he's going to get a steal or what, but
that's something that needs to be coached out of him as soon as possible.
I know.
That's
a
bad
coach
habit.
would say you don't ever do that again or I'm pulling you, right? You know what I mean? Until you learn not to do that. That's something that you should be very forcefully telling him that's not acceptable. That's not what you do. I don't even know if they notice it because it's gone on all season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's bad. So, in transition, players already have a head of steam that makes it easy to beat you. If you're stuck at a standstill, you can poke and still stay in front of them. You can prod at the ball, try and steal the ball, trying to pick a pocket, and you can stay in the play. If a player's going at you, not only is it real easy for them to just have the ball kind of hanging in their hand with a live dribble and just run past you, it's really hard for you to stay in the play. You completely take yourself out of the play if you're gambling at someone who's coming at you in transition. It's not rewarding enough given the risk. And we have a problem with that with not just Scoot. There's other guys too. Where I've seen it here or there, where they just randomly gamble in transition and have no chance at a steal and completely take themselves out of the play. But with somebody like Scoot, that's where we talk about development, and development matters this season. That has to be coached out of him as soon as possible because it's just a really bad habit. It's not good. You should not be giving up buckets in transition because you're trying to steal, you're trying to gamble. But to your point earlier about we need to run more, 11 fast break points in this game. And they had 28. We only turned over the ball 12 times. They turned over the ball 8, so it's not really a turnover thing because they almost tripled us in terms of fast break points. this team continues to be one of the worst teams in terms of running the break, even though they have a surplus of ball handlers and a surplus of athleticism, and it doesn't make any sense to me. It's actually quite frustrating. So I don't know what we're doing in the coaching department that other teams aren't doing in terms of trying to get out and run. I don't know how much of it you can say is personnel. It's just really confusing why we don't run more. I don't have an answer. It would be interesting to see if we brought in a different coach if we run more, or I don't know. Like, it's not like any of these guys seem like they don't want to run. They just don't. I don't have an answer. Chat, do you have any theories? Because I'm at a loss. It's baffled me all season long. Continues to baffle me.
Yeah. My theory is that Chauncey is calling plays every time.
But we know he's not.
No, I know, but like it's not like an actual play. It's just like a pick and roll or an ice or whatever, you know. And then so I think they're looking to him at what to run, and he's just like, oh, pick and roll, and then they go down and they set up the pick and roll, and that's all they're just worried about setting it up. Like, whereas, like, if you have a good running team, like, it's coached into you to like look at what teams do to us. Made basket, they throw it down and get the ball down the court so quickly before we're even back. So I think that is a coaching thing. But
absolutely. So that's part of Chauncey ball, I guess. Chauncey ball, says James Young in chat. Absolutely, yeah. It's Stotts had the problem. It's funny because offensively, Stotts and Billups are very similar. It's just now Billups doesn't have Dame, so he's kind of screwed. Other players, people you want to talk about? I mean, Thibault hit some shots. Not much to say there. Duop Reith offensively continues to be efficient. 9 points in 12 minutes on 4 for 7 shooting. He doesn't get many minutes with Ayton playing 41 in front of him. Brogdon 8 for 19 continues to shoot the 3-ball well, 3 for 7, 6 assists for him. He needs to get traded as soon as possible because there was a play where it looked like he got hurt, and that made me worry.
Yeah.
So
I was worried he's going to be out 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Through the deadline. Tyler King says, I don't understand why we're trying to win all of a sudden and not playing the young guys. I'm so confused with Chauncey's plan. What part of the season were we not doing that?
Yeah, we've been doing this all season.
We've been trying to win. We just haven't been good.
And that's why I've scoffed at people that say Chauncey is coaching to lose or coaching to tank, because he's clearly not when he's playing guys this many minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. I do want because Jerami isn't this type of guy, but I would love to get a forward who can get a rebound and then push the tempo himself while our shooters go and spread the floor, you know.
So like Herb Jones.
Yeah, I mean he's maybe a little. I'm thinking maybe a bigger guy, but yeah.
I mean, that's why I like Herb Jones, is because he's like the low-key solid passer, low-key solid ball handler for a player of his archetype. Normally you don't find guys that can handle the ball at all.
I mean,
play make at all.
I'd take Herb because he's rumored to possibly be available because they're worried about paying everyone next year or something. I don't know. But
yeah, strange stuff. I don't think they'll actually trade him, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with that. Anyway, before we get, you were about to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna read Wise Zebra's comments. Now's the time to play the bets. No excuse after the deadline. Yeah, I mean it depends on your philosophy. I don't know if Grant or Brogdon are necessarily going to change anyone's opinion in the next 2 weeks, but. Yeah, if they're doing this crap after the deadline and they're still here, I'm going to be so mad.
Yeah. We'll see. Anyway, while Eric has a coughing fit, take your time, Eric. Drink your water. I want to tell you guys about BetUS, our sponsor for this post-game show. They are in the final days of their Super Bowl giveaway. This ends tomorrow. Tomorrow's your last day to get in on this. They're giving away Super Bowl tickets, and I want it to be one of you guys. They announce the winner 2 days from now. So if you want to get in on the chance to win Super Bowl tickets, all you have to do is place a bet on any NFL line and share your bet slip on X/Twitter with a minimum of $25. Tag the official BetUS account as shown here and the friend that you'd invite to the Super Bowl and use hashtag BetUSLVIII. You can bet on the NFC Championship, which is between mine and Eric's San Francisco 49ers and the Detroit Lions. You can bet on that game, or you can bet on Ravens Chiefs, which should be a fun football matchup. Both those games on Sunday. So you got to get that bet slip in by tomorrow, and share it on Twitter. Tag the friend you're inviting to the Super Bowl. Tag BetUS official and use the hashtag BetUSLVIII. And if you sign up for BetUS, make sure to use the link in our description box below, as it will give you 125% deposit match. That's $125 on top of $100 deposit, up to $2,500. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring the post-game show, and hopefully one of you wins Super Bowl tickets. And as Eric said, he wants you to tag him because he wants to go with you.
Watch my Niners win the Super Bowl.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Knock on wood. Knock on wood, man. I am hyped for that game on Sunday, man. I can't believe we're playing the Lions to get into the Super Bowl. Kind of crazy.
Yeah. No offense to the Lions, but they need to pay their dues. They made it this far. That's a cool story. It's our turn, and then in future years, it can be your turn, Lions.
Facts. I agree. Go Niners, man. This is my 14th team to make the Final Four. None of them have ever won a championship. 0-5 in championship games. I already lost a football championship earlier this month with the Huskies losing. So, man, I don't know. We get this curse lifted. If the Niners win the Super Bowl, the Blazers will turn things around, guys. So if you're a Blazers fan, you better root for the Niners, is all I'm going to say. Because if my curse gets lifted, then I'll stop cursing this freaking Blazers team. Is really what it is. So
you're going to have to start a different Uprise.
Yeah.
Remix ended up winning.
You were rooting against the remix, huh?
No, I'm just saying the Ignite lose again.
Ignite or 0-14.
Someone in chat said you went to the wrong game. Ron Holland had 31 at one point. I don't know what he finished with.
He's 4 for 6 from 3 tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I went to this game, I'd probably have him as the number 2 prospect. I'm gonna have to watch back the tape. He just needs to find 3-point shooting consistency is really what it is. John Jenkins was terrible. Tyler Smith, 3 for 6 from 3, 16 points. Babacar was 2 for 7. Buzelis, 3 for 6. Almanza, 1 for 2. Almanza doesn't shoot at all. Almanza does nothing, bro. He had no assists, no turnovers, 1 for 2, 4 rebounds in 21 minutes. He plays some defense, that's about it. Yeah. All right, chat, we'll take questions, I guess. We kind of went through this post-game show a little fast, it feels like. I don't really have much else to say about this game.
No Tankathon tonight.
And no Tankathon tonight. Although if you guys beg hard enough, then we can. Have you guys talked about Zvonimir Ivisic? Yeah, we talked about his first game for Kentucky a couple days ago. Has Kentucky played since then?
I don't know. That was what, Sunday night?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kentucky played yesterday, so I don't know how he did yesterday.
We are not doing Tankathons after wins this year, so yes. No Tankathon tonight.
Let me look up the box score from yesterday for
later Freezing Cloud.
But
yeah, Ivisic is definitely intriguing, and I think he's going to be pretty high on both of our boards when all said and done.
Yeah. So yesterday, Kentucky got blown out by South Carolina, Eric. 79-62. Avicic in that game, 10 minutes off the bench, 1 for 3 from the field, 3 points, 2 rebounds, no assists, had 2 blocks. Dillingham off the bench, 26 minutes, 7 for 14, 16 points, 2 assists. Antonio Reeves, dude, Antonio Reeves shot 18 shots.
Yeah.
You got Reed Shepherd only playing 15 minutes for some reason. He only shoots the ball 4 times. DJ Wagner is 2 for 10. Antonio Reeves takes 18 shots and 6 for 18. Kind of wild. Kentucky's weird, man. They got so many prospects. They got Shepherd, Dillingham, Avicic. Aaron Bradshaw's a big man that could be like an early second-round pick. Could actually make sense for the Blazers with one of their second-round picks. And then you got Justin Edwards, who was supposed to be their best prospect, who's now maybe completely falling off draft boards. You know what's funny, Eric, is when we had that conversation at the start of the year where I was like, yeah, I watched a little bit of tape on some of the top prospects, and I just don't understand how any of these guys are top prospects.
Yeah.
One of the guys was Ron Holland. One of the other guys at the time was Justin Edwards. He was considered a top 5 prospect going into this year.
Yeah.
He has completely fallen off the radar.
Seems like maybe he's going to be one of those guys who's not one and done.
Yeah, I mean, he has a lot of work to do to be 2 and done or 3 and done. Like, he just does not look good at all. He's still mocked late first round on Takeathon's board, but he's shooting 29% from 3, 45% for the field, 8 points per game. Like, not really much of a playmaker. He just looks like an average NCAA player at best. But he was producing a little bit at the start of the season. Now his minutes have declined, and he scored in single digits the last 7 games.
Yeah.
That's bad. So Kentucky's just an interesting team to pay attention to for all the prospects they got.
It's kind of like the Ignite and similar type problems. I think it's just too many cooks in the kitchen. Yeah, guys can't just be the guy, because there's too many of them. Yeah. I think if Dillingham would have went to, I'm not just saying this because I like Oregon State, but if he goes to Oregon State, he's like the man and scoring 30 points a game, right? Yeah. But yeah, on a team like that, you have to play within the concept of a team, and there's only one basketball and stuff. So
the problem is like Kentucky always has that happen with small forward, power forward types.
Yeah.
Like Khalil Whitney, I think, went there, and he was like highly regarded. Then he completely fell off boards, and the guards always seem to actually do worse in Kentucky and then better in the NBA. The small forward, power forward, the forwards seem to come in, and a ton of them seem to bust. A ton of them seem to lose confidence and don't pan out at all. And Justin Edwards, I think, is just going to
center.
Yeah, Anthony Davis was a center. Like, some guys maybe buck the trend, but it's always like guards or like an Anthony Davis type guy, Karl Anthony Towns. Yeah.
Damn. So like big men, I guess. Maybe not. But yeah.
Forwards don't do well there, though.
I was trying to think of like a wing type player that who's their best wing drafted player. I might be blanking on someone really good, but
chat, let us know who's their best wing player in the NBA right now. Forward. I don't know. I can't think of any. How did you guys become Niner fans? My dad was a Niner fan.
I'm 44 years old. I grew up in the 80s, and this was before the internet. And so there was only usually an NFC. For the NFC channel, it was always the Niners were our home team. And then for the AFC channel, the Seahawks used to be in the AFC. They were on the AFC channel. And the Seahawks weren't that good in the 80s. And the 49ers were amazing in the 80s. And so Jerry Rice is my favorite player and my sports idol and all that. So, yeah, I just became a fan of the Niners.
Keldon Johnson is the name in chat. Yeah, that might be their best forward, I guess.
Yeah, Julius Randle is a forward technically, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's more of a big than I was thinking more like wingish.
Like wing forward type.
Yeah.
Like
PJ Washington I put in the same Julius Randle category.
Yeah.
Keldon Johnson's probably the closest,
Yeah. But Keldon Johnson is
he's okay.
Keldon Johnson is like a 2 that can play the 3 in my mind. I don't know. Is he really like a natural 3-4? Like there's a few other like 3-4s forward types, combo forwards that they've gotten that were high recruits that completely fell off radars. So it's always interesting to see who they get in terms of forwards for that reason. Justin Edwards is the next one because he has completely fallen off boards. Yeah, we talked a bit about the draft last stream. Don't really have much to say, and we're not going into Tankathon. But, yeah, looking forward to Saturday because the Blazers don't play. The Niners don't play. It's a great opportunity to watch some college basketball. Great opportunity to pay attention to some guys.
We're in that weird stretch where we don't play on a Saturday for like 6 weeks.
Yeah. But this is kind of a tough stretch that we're in right now, Eric. Last time this team had 2 days off was over a week ago, okay? And this is the second game in a stretch where they play 5 games in 7 days.
Yeah.
It's
They play Sunday, Monday?
Yeah. Yeah, they play Friday, Sunday, Monday.
The post-game show Sunday night is going to be very interesting.
Oh, yeah. Because that Niner game is going to be over like 6 p.m., and that's right when the Blazer game starts. So,
that's it. Isn't it at 3:30? So are we going to be over a little bit into the Blazer game?
Yeah, a little bit into. I have it as 3 on my. I think it was listed for 3, and then they changed it to 3:30. Yeah, ESPN says 3:30, so I might not want to stream it all that day. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'll be here no matter what, but I might be very upset, or we might be celebrating big time on that stream.
Yeah, Blazers beat the Bulls by 20 that day, and people on the post game are like, "Why are you guys so upset? You guys hate the Blazers." Like, no, our dreams were crushed. Hopefully, we're not saying that though. Hopefully, we're not saying that. Hopefully, the Niners can take care of business. Do stretches like this, though, where they play like 5 games in 7 days, do they start to wear you out in terms of like post-game shows?
Honestly, this whole season's been a blur because I wake up at 4:30 for work. So
yeah,
like all these streams are just like, that's why I yawn so much, or it seems like I don't have a ton of energy sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. It sucks, yeah, when they play a bunch of games in a short amount of time, because then it's hard to do get a lot of sleep, and then it's also hard to do like Hoops Crush and stuff like that, or do other things. So yeah, and then I have family I have to spend time with.
The reason why I ask is second nights of back-to-backs are becoming increasingly rougher for me. It's kind of strange, man. Like today we win in overtime. I have no energy. Like I feel like I have very low energy, but I'm grinding through it just like the team did today. But man, it's kind of funny how, you hear like second night of back-to-back for NBA players, it's a little tough. It's second day in a row. I'm starting to feel second days of back-to-backs as a post-game streamer, which sounds kind of soft, but it's a little bit of a real thing, man, especially like last 2 days just been running around constantly doing stuff. So
I will say that a lot of the season, the schedule seemed very, very favorable with lots of days off, or we had a couple weekends off with no games. And So we've had some good moments too.
Yeah, well, this month is brutal. There's 17 games this
Yeah.
month. There were 17 games in November. There's 17 games this month. And, yeah, like it's insane. So it's funny because we're on a stretch here. Post-game show Sunday, Blazers Uprise live Monday. Post-game show Tuesday, Wednesday. Blazers Uprise live Thursday, and then post-game show Friday. That's a wild streak. That's 6 days in a row. So hard life, first world problem, says Eric. Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's just so tough up here on the post-game show. No, no. It isn't tough. I wouldn't call it tough. Call it tough. It's just I'm just noticing the difference, you know?
Yeah. 1 week until Dame comes, says B Skrillin.
Yeah.
With Doc Rivers.
I'm still thinking about going to that game. I don't know. We'll see. Chat, are you guys going to that game? Who in chat is going to that game? And how much are tickets right now? I heard they got as low as like 90, but I've heard they fluctuated a lot.
I'm going.
Yeah, a bunch of people are going.
Abhishek, Boom are both going. B Skrilla's going. J-Po's going. What's up, J-Po? How you doing, man?
I'll be there. Got ticks over 100 in October. Yeah, I don't want to sit 300 level if I go.
MGJJ123 is going.
Literally
AJ,
everybody is going. There's going to be 40,000 people at that game, it sounds like. Each seat is shared by 2 people.
Some people are lying. Dominic Green is going. Danny P's going.
Blazers Uprise box. A Blazers Uprise box would be sick, but
yeah,
I think it's too late for that.
Not for that game. Unless someone wants to graciously donate it.
Yeah, we'd have to. I don't know. I don't even know how like scheduling boxes like that works or anything. So,
what's up, Alex? How was Alex? Went to Milwaukee for the Bucks Cavs game tonight.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
What was the score?
I think the Bucks won by 10.
Oh, I guess we could do around the NBA. We haven't done around the NBA in months because it's just to the point where like I don't really care too much.
It was Alex's first time seeing Dame live, I think.
Oh wow, yeah, and the Bucks beat the Cavs 126-116. Giannis went off, had 35, 18, and 10, and then Dame 8 for 21. He had 28 points, 4 assists, 10 for 11 from the free throw line for Dame. Um, 24 from Middleton. Go ahead.
Jackass, would you keep Grant if you can deal Aiden? I mean, if we could only choose one or the other, yeah, sure, but I think we should trade both of them. We'll see if Doc can actually do it. I mean, the jokes are funny, but he does have a championship.
He sucks, though. He had a
I know.
How long ago?
I know. It's a lot ago. Like 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's a long time.
14.
Now he just chokes every year.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying he's a good coach. I'm just saying, like, all the jokes are like, oh, congratulations, you just ensured you won't get past the second round, but he has been past the second round.
Yeah, I hate that hire for them. I hate that.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. The Grizzlies beat the Heat in Miami.
Yeah.
Because Vince Williams had 25 points on 10 shots.
Heat fans are pissed.
Yeah, you remember the dude that was obsessed with Vince Williams Jr.? We had a dude that used to comment like, Blazers should have taken Vince Williams Jr. instead of Shaden Sharp or stuff.
I thought that was Roden.
No, there's a dude that used to be obsessed with Vince Williams Jr. to the point where like he like hated any one and done player. Like, we need to take veterans out of college, especially Vince Williams Jr. And it's like, I mean, I like Vince Williams Jr. in that draft, but yeah, that dude, the Vince Williams Jr. lover, is I'm sure having a field day right now with how Vince Williams Jr. has been playing. He's been great for them. Gigi Jackson's been good for them too.
He's been off and on, but yeah, he had a good game.
I mean, for a player of his age, like second round pick, 45th pick, he's doesn't turn 20 until next season. And he's shooting 46% from 3 right now in 11 games, averaging almost 7 a game. Like, as a 6'9" forward, man, maybe we should have taken him instead of Repair. We probably should, man. I like Repair a lot. It's not hating on Repair. But Gigi Jackson has upside that is hard to find in the second round, and he was kind of the obvious choice in that range. He had slipped down draft boards. There's question marks about this and that, but when you get a guy of his skill set, of his raw talent, that's 6'9" and that young in the middle of the second round, you take your chance on that 100 times out of 100.
Yeah.
If Gigi Jackson was playing this well in college and went back to college, he'd probably be a top 10 pick. So,
yeah, maybe
in this year's draft.
I mean, the talent was always undeniable, but I don't know. His season was so weird last year.
Yeah, but I mean, he was playing with a bunch of scrubs, at least on the D1 level. Like, South Carolina was really bad.
Yeah.
And then yesterday they beat Kentucky, so I guess they're actually good now. They're 16-3. I think is what it said overall. So,
who's that?
South Carolina.
Oh yeah.
So they turned things around, I guess. Scottie Pippen Jr. played 24 minutes in this game for the Grizzlies. He had 15 points, 6 assists. Like, they're just playing anyone and everyone. Jacob Gilliard started at point. Got David Roddy playing 32 minutes. My guy, David Roddy. Yeah, these lineups are very interesting. But Miami, so they get Terry Rozier. He comes off the bench today. In his Heat debut, 3 for 11, 9 points, 5 assists.
Yeah. Hot off the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that trade just got officially approved with the physicals and stuff a few hours before the game. So I'm not going to read too much into it for one game, but
like, you got Bam, you got Jimmy Butler, you got Tyler Hero. You should not be losing to Memphis. Memphis, like, keeps winning games somehow against teams that they shouldn't be beating. And they don't have Ja, they don't have Marcus Smart, they don't have Steven Adams, they don't have Desmond Bane. Like, they literally have no one.
Dude, Tori, I don't know why you're even talking about this, because coaching does not matter.
I was setting it up.
You cannot coach a bad roster to play well. It just can't happen.
Yeah, you can't be a bad coach with a bad roster, but you can be a good coach with a bad roster or something. I don't know how it works, man. But yeah, you look at Memphis doing that, bro. And we're sitting here losing by 62, and people are and we have Grant, we have guys, and people are just making excuses for it. It doesn't make sense. But luckily, the Blazers are more competitive now. What's the biggest? I mean, the biggest change, I guess, is they're finally scoring again. What's the
Blazers?
Yeah, I mean, they have that stretch where they were scoring 80, 90 points.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, Ayton being back helps a lot because, I mean, Reith has been fine, but he's not like a 30-minute a game center or whatever. And we had very little depth because Baji was in foul trouble pretty much every time he played. So I think not necessarily Ayton, but just getting a center back that's somewhat competent, even if he has his issues. I think that's helped a lot. Just kind of solidify the rotations. Everyone can settle into their roles a little bit. And I think it makes it just a little bit more stable.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they did go against a Pacers team that sucks defensively, a Suns team that's pretty bad defensively, put 160 on the board against them. And the Nets, they only scored 105 on, and they had the Nets number even during their 7-game road trip. That was the only team they beat. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see like how much of this is sustained and how much of this is an aberration. But it's funny because 4 games ago, Eric, if you remember this, in the Nets post-game show, I was looking at our next 5 games, and I was like, what do we go? I'm guessing 1-4, right? And it was Pacers, Lakers, Thunder, Rockets, Spurs. We're 2-2 and should maybe be 3-1 if we could just get a timeout called. And we play the Spurs next, so...
This kind of reminds me of... Didn't we play Milwaukee and Indiana on the road back-to-back?
Yeah, I think so. Sounds about right.
We played them consecutive games. I can't remember if it was consecutive nights or not, but
it was Indiana was second night of a back-to-back.
Yeah, and we're up 26 against Miami. Mm-hmm. Should have won that game, just like we should have won last night in OKC. And then you think that's probably a really deflating loss to lose a 26-point lead in the second half and all that kind of stuff. And then they come out and play like gangbusters the next night and beat the Pacers. And then tonight, I wouldn't say they played great at times in this game, but overall they find a way to get it done with a lot of good performances. And so kind of, I don't know, it's just random. Last year it was against Detroit and Orlando, so it doesn't really count, but there was those 2 games in a row where we won, where we were like all mad that we were winning those games because we thought that was going to cost us the 5th seed or whatever.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I'm looking at the stretch earlier in the season, and it's kind of eerie how similar they are. You know, you're talking about the comparisons of winning second night of a back-to-back. So late November 21st, we play Phoenix. We lose. The next night, we win, and it's a stretch where we win 3 of 4. This latest stretch, on January 14th, we lose to Phoenix. Same team, and then we win 3 of 5. It's not 3 of 4, but it's 3 of 5, and in there has a game where we lose kind of like a heartbreaker, and then second night of a back-to-back on the road, we win. So this stretch is very reminiscent of the end of November. You know, Sharp was playing good during that time, and now he's gone. You know, he's out, but you got Simons back. So you basically replace Sharp with Simons there, but it's crazy the similarities. And then after that, right, like we're starting to feel good. Like, okay, this team, they've won 3 out of 4. And then they went on the road to Utah and lost in overtime, and that kickstarted a 7-game losing streak.
That was Utah without any of their players.
Yeah. Yeah. And then 7-game losing streak, and then we beat Phoenix by 5 and lost a couple other games. Yeah, 7-game losing streak, we beat Phoenix, and then the next game at home we lose to Washington. So basically every time this team has a stretch like this where they win 3 of 4, they win 3 of 5, it falls apart. And that's kind of what I'm expecting out of this, because the Blazers' next 2 games are very winnable. They're on the road against San Antonio, and then they're at home against Chicago. But the Blazers' thing to do, Eric, would be to lose the next game on the road against San Antonio.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost earlier in the year at home against San Antonio, so...
Well, Tori, it is a rivalry game, and rivalries, anything can happen in rivalry games.
Or is this a rivalry game?
Huh?
It's a rivalry game, huh?
Yeah, this is rival.
I've heard the rival week thing, and I knew we were matched up with someone random.
This because that game's Saturday or Friday, right?
Yeah.
This weekend is supposed to be the rivalry weekend or whatever. So, yeah,
bring back the Sonics so we can have a real rival.
The only one more random I think is I guess I can't say the only one. There's some random ones, but they have Philadelphia and Denver is one of the highlighted 3 games on Saturday, just because of Embiid versus Jokic. Yeah. But yeah, it's that vaunted Philadelphia Denver rivalry. Yeah.
Cracks, yeah.
But yeah, they're really trying to push the Scoot or they were in the offseason. I don't know how much they want to push it now, but yeah.
But this stretch on the road against San Antonio, at home against Chicago, and then Eric, things get brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. They play Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Denver. They have 3 days off after that, and then they play Detroit, so a little reprieve there. But then New Orleans, Minnesota, Denver.
Yeah. I was looking at the schedule. I saw that they have 2 of those playing the same team twice in a row against Denver and Minnesota coming up. That's brutal. Yeah. Javon says easy dubs for real. Let's go.
The good news is, Eric, so that game against Detroit is on trade deadline day after the trade deadline. The good news is if Cronin is sitting here watching this 5-game stretch where we win 3 games, we're 3-2 and almost 4-1. If he's feeling like, maybe I should keep the team together because of that 5-game stretch where they won 3 games. There should be a stretch before the trade deadline where we get blown out repetitively and then he doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
Because that's my biggest fear when they go on a stretch like this is like, we just need to keep all the veterans together and next year with the improvement of our young guys, we're going to be a good team. I am scared of that. I hate that thinking. It's the same thing as the 4-game winning streak from a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's so weird that we have that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off leading up to the trade deadline.
I mean, I kind of like it, actually.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could talk a lot about trades, but
yeah,
hopefully there's some trades to tie us over talking about stuff that we...
Yeah, facts. Like, maybe do an impromptu stream or 2 just focused on trade talk on the main channel, and then, yeah, that should be fun. So, I think I'm just going to use the same trade deadline graphics as last year. So, maybe just break those out ahead of time. No surprises. We'll see, because I was pretty happy with the graphics packages last year on big streams. But yeah, this upcoming stretch is going to be interesting. I mean, that game at home versus Dave is going to be something else. Tickets are as low as $49 according to ESPN.com. Are they really that cheap?
Standing room only.
No, row L, 1 ticket, $49. Row M, 1 to 3 tickets. Yeah, it's like up near the top, but you get 100 level or 200 level for as cheap as 125. Maybe I shouldn't tell people that because now they're going to go buy the tickets that I would have bought. If you buy tickets, use promo code Uprise on Game Time Tickets. We'll save you $20 off your first purchase, FYI.
I didn't see that, Taylor, other than I saw you say that earlier. But yeah, smart guy. He says NBA Draft Room has Tajon top 5 now.
Yeah. Is the channel sponsored by Coke now? No. It's just the shirt. I don't know. I thought the shirt looked kind of cool, so I bought it.
Tyler Smith says, "Will you cry if Dame cries?" I don't know how I feel. This season's so weird, man. And like Dame hasn't been. I mean, he's been good at times, but he hasn't been great. They just fired their coach.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how emotional it's gonna be. I don't know.
Yeah, man. I thought you were saying this year has been weird for us.
Well, it's been weird for us too. But...
Yeah. Yeah, it's been. I don't know, man. Like I saw somebody earlier in the stream say, like, I'm just so checked out, and I'm starting to get to the point where I'm feeling pretty checked out, man. Like,
well, yeah, normally Jerami hits a game-winning or a game-tying shot to hit it to overtime, and you're freaking hyped, right?
Yeah, and normally last night I would have been super pissed.
Yeah.
So
the amount of rants last night, and then the amount of joy tonight.
Yeah, dude, you know what? You know what I think it was the 62-point loss.
Yeah.
On January 11th. Because I solo streamed, and I just eviscerated this team. And after that, it was like I got it all out of my system, maybe for the rest of the season. The thing is, they've been more competitive since then, but that was like every little ounce I had left of emotion. It feels like, because since then it's just been whatever.
I was on that stream. I might have been a few minutes late, but
oh no, you were there like an hour in.
The one you soloed was the Wizards one, where we lost the Wizards at home. I still don't know how we lost.
I soloed a decent amount of that stream. I'm gonna look it up because
maybe I'm misremembering. Yeah, you did. Yeah, that was the one you kept asking how much longer. Yeah, yes. So it might have been an hour. Yeah.
Yes. There's the one with Chauncey in the thumbnail. Yeah, it was a little over an hour.
Andrew asks, are you guys expecting any trades? Gun to your head, who gets dealt? I'm going to say gun to my head, Brogdon, but I'm not. I don't know if I'm going to live then.
Cronin might keep him just to spite you.
Yeah. Wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, I mean, like right now we're just waiting for the trade deadline for real. For real. There hasn't really been any new rumors to talk about yet, though. It's still kind of waiting for the rumor mill to ramp up a little bit more. Basically just looking ahead to the Milwaukee game and then the trade deadline, and then after that it's kind of just like the rest of the season. Hopefully Scoot plays 35 minutes a game. Then it's like I'll be excited if Scoot has like a 30-point efficient game. You know what I mean? Like that's where the excitement will come from. And if we lose but Scoot has a great game, I'll be more excited than like a win like this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of what I'm realizing is Scoot, when Scoot scores, I feel something. I feel something when Scoot scores. So I need more Scoot minutes.
Okay.
Because I need to feel something, Eric.
All right.
Do you agree? Do you feel something more, a little extra when Scoot scores?
I mean, I like when he scores. I thought he ended up going to the free throw line, but he had one play on a fast break where he really did a good job of using his body to get a foul.
Yeah.
I thought
he's starting to improve a little bit there.
Yeah.
Last game, he had a couple really impressive finishes off 2 feet where he like jumped into the chest of the shot blocker, you know? That's the thing, is just little things like that. I feel like the way he's played this year, you can tell that he knows what he needs to work on, because you'll see like a flash here or there where he like makes an effort to do it and it'll look good, but it's not natural to him yet. So it's like only brief flashes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it's just like, okay, he needs to just keep working on these various different things to get them consistent enough.
Yeah.
That's how I view his game right now. And continue working on that 3-point shot, you know, it's his shot is close, it feels like. He's not having as bad of misses as he was earlier in the season too. Like, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Couple misses where it's just basically in and out, or, you know, around the rim, where he's missing on the inside part of the rim. Like most great shooters, unless it's a ridiculously tough shot, when they miss, it hits the inside of the rim somewhere and then bounces off. Like the shots where he was missing where it barely grazed the front of the rim earlier in the season were a little disconcerting. Like those are just really bad misses. Shooters don't miss that badly. So not to be optimistic about his misses or anything. It's just you can see the shot, in my opinion, getting closer and getting a little bit more consistent. I just wonder how different, you know, defenses aren't respecting it, so that's part of it. I just wonder if you take out that 2 for 24, how do we view his shooting? Because we just look at the percentage, it's like 29%. But he started the season so terribly, so.
I just want him to have one good shooting game, man. Can he please do that?
Yeah. Indiana.
He starts off so well, and then, well, isn't Indiana the game he went out? Yeah. I mean, we didn't, because he does this a lot where he comes in and he makes his first few shots, and you're like, okay, this is going to be a huge Scoot game, and then he finishes 4 for 12 for like tonight.
Yeah, I wonder what that is, you know. does he shoot a little too much? Because he'll have games where it's like 18, like last game, he shot 18 times in 26 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of shots. Like, he probably just needs to be a little bit more careful with his shot selection. But, like, if he's wide open on the three-point line, I want him to shoot that shot. And he's left wide open quite a bit, so that's going to result in a lot of shots.
He missed it, but he did exactly what you were saying 2 streams ago, where someone went under the pick and he immediately shot it. So that's good to see him recognizing that and pulling up.
It's been uncanny, man. Like, I'll say he needs to work on this or he needs to start doing this, and then a couple games later he'll, like, do it. Or try it. And it's like, man, sometimes I wonder, is he just watching, he's not watching streams, but sometimes it's like, is he watching streams and doing what I'm saying he needs to work on? Because recently I also talked about finishing off 2 feet and like jumping into the chest of the shot blocker to neutralize the shot blocker. And last game he had a couple plays that was a perfect example of exactly what I was talking about him needing to do. So it's been kind of surreal. Earlier in the year, we talked about changing pace. How we needed to change pace more, and then you slowly saw him start to get better at it. So,
hi, Scoop. Please don't think my comments from a couple streams ago mean I hate you. I want you to succeed, man. No. Yeah. Michael Holton said something really weird during the game. He wasn't talking about Scoot, though. I think he was talking about Jalen Green. He said it was good for young players to get as many field goal attempts as possible to like learn how to shoot and score in the NBA. Like he said, it didn't matter like making them. He just thought getting a ton of attempts was good for a young player.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know because you could
agree with that.
I think you could ruin someone's confidence, but I mean it is impressive that he's getting so many shots up despite how bad he's been shooting. I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing. I do think he could use his ability to get into the paint more to set up playmaking. But I don't know.
Agreed. Yeah, so if you take out that 2 for 24 start, Eric, he is shooting 34% from 3. Like, we would have taken that going into the season, right?
Yeah, for sure. But, I mean, you can't just take out.
I mean, he didn't have the goggles.
Yeah, that's true. No goggles.
He didn't have his contacts, so he couldn't see. So I will take those out, It's not like we're taking out a random week in the middle of the season. It's a start of his NBA career, like, didn't have the contacts he apparently needs, and yada, yada. 34% since then. I think we all would have taken it. It's just it's not really about the three-point shot as much anymore as it is about he just is not shooting well enough from 2. But also, if he had an open paint, a little bit more spacing, like a little better offense, he'd probably be shooting better from 2, so.
Yeah, that's the trade-off, Taylor. I wouldn't have been happy with his finishing statistics, his 2-point shooting going into the season either.
Yeah, I mean, right now I think his 3-point shot is about what I expected it to be. The 2-point shot isn't like finishing mainly is the main area where he is disappointed in. But I do think on a better team and a better system, those numbers wouldn't be as bad. They would still probably be pretty bad, but not as bad as they are in Portland.
Yeah, maybe.
So, he's turnovers a little bit, he's been a little bit more turnover prone than maybe I expected this year too. Those are kind of the two things. Like, per 36, he's averaging over 6 assists per game, which for a rookie is pretty good. 16 points with that. So like he is getting shots up. In rookies, like 6 assists per 36 as a rookie. That may not be as much as people expected, but I think people were expecting a little bit too much in terms of some of his passing. You look at like Halliburton his rookie year. Right now, he's averaging 12.5 assists per game. But his rookie year, in 30 minutes a game, Eric, he averaged 5.3 assists. Now, he was playing Sacramento with De'Aaron Fox, so some of that could be situational. But you look at his assists, like, just increased every year of his career. And that's kind of what I expect with Scoot.
Well, for me, I think I never would have imagined he'd be shooting as much as he has in some of these games, just by how poorly he's shot. So that's my only thing, is his ratio of shots to passes or assists is a little skewed more towards shooting than I thought it would have been going into the season. Because I thought he'd maybe average like 10 points a game if he got the minutes, but that his assists would be a little higher, like closer to 7 or 8. I mean, he's not that far off from that, but yeah. So I guess I've been a little surprised at how much he shoots compared to passing in some of those situations.
Yep. So Scoot, yeah, as I said before, and you talked about this when I was gone last game, I understand why people are concerned with certain things. End of the day, I think he's going to look completely different next year. I think an offseason will do him a ton of good, and I think it'll allow him to reset his confidence in a way. And then, like, if he can go into the season with, like, an established starting role, too, as a better player, I think that could be good for him mentally as well. You know, he has to earn it and everything, this and that, but I don't know. I think next year is going to be a good sophomore season for him. I think he's going to take a noticeable jump and be solid at least.
Mm.
We'll see what else is around him. We'll see who's coaching him, but
yeah.
Shout out to Brandon Romero, $10 donation, says, I've been supporting you guys for 3 years now. Awesome job. Bring back the individual player stats and graphics. Who do you guys see us drafting next year? What's our starting 5 next year? Thank you, Brandon, for the $10 donation.
Thank you, Brandon.
Who do we see us drafting? I have a feeling Zachary Ricochet is going to be a Portland Trailblazer, Eric.
Yeah. Well, unless we get like the 6th pick, because I don't think it's going to last that long.
Yeah. My gut says Ricochet is in a Blazer uniform next year. Like, honestly, man, just my gut today. I was watching his highlights, and it's like, I've never had this strong of a gut feeling that a player at this point in the season, a draft prospect, is going to be a Blazer. But I just have a really strong feeling he's going to be a Blazer, man. Which I'm okay with, I guess. We'll see. He's looked good when other guys haven't produced, so.
Yeah. You just had a bunch of scouts were over there watching him today. As far as the individual player stats and graphics, I know it's a lot of work, and for Tori or whoever's doing those graphics, and when we suck, it's just a little like Tori was talking about it. It's just hard to like do a bunch of fancy stuff for a post-game show when we're just gonna be delving into other things, you know.
Honestly, I forget that I have them, because I do have them. But the coding, like, you see the text over the points, like there's like coding on it, because it's coded. There's coding on it that is a little weird, and some of them aren't coded. So that's where I just need to sit down and get them coded. I don't remember at all. There's other things I wanted to get coded for this season. The thing is honestly, Eric, I like our graphics package this year. As long as the Blazers suck, I might just go into next year with the same graphics package. Like, and maybe try to add a couple things. But every year I come out with a new graphics package. At this point, it's like, why make it harder and harder? Because I have to come up with new ideas if I make new graphics packages, right? Like, they can't look the same. Why make it harder and harder on myself to come up with something new that I haven't done before in terms of a layout, in terms of a graphics package, if we're just going to be losing 50 games a year, you know? So that's kind of where I'm at right now with content. The next year is, you know, I like our graphics packages, so I'll probably just keep rolling with what I've been doing. So these player cards, you know, players that are still on the team, we can keep these cards, and then new players we can... Krish made a template. Krish made these for me. So new players, we can make a new card for them.
Hey, man, if we're bad next year, I want to be worse than this year. I know it sucks to hear, but next year is the year to be super bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need to make a capture the flag graphic.
Yep.
Capture the flag.
In terms of what our starting five is next year, I fully expect it to be Scoot, Anfernee, Sharp, Grant, and Ayton. That's my prediction for next year.
You said who? Scoot, Ant, Sharp, Grant, Ayton?
Yep.
Yeah.
Our same starting lineup that we thought was going to be the lineup going into the season, minus Thibault, because he... Yeah.
Disgusting. I don't want Ayton. Honestly, you could replace Ayton with just an average center, and I'd be more receptive to that. Yeah.
We might have Sar. I don't think he's starting over Grant or Ayton.
If we draft Sar number 1 and he doesn't start because we got Ayton, bro, come on. That's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's not what I want to have happen for our starting lineup next year. I don't think we trade Grant this year, and I don't know if we're gonna find a way to move Ayton. So, yeah, but you guys know that I want Grant to be traded, and nothing against
for different
Grant.
reasons than Ayton.
Yeah, for sure. If we can, dude, we could actually be huge players in terms of helping other teams out with cap situations and accumulating assets.
Mm-hmm.
If we could get rid of Ayton, Brogdon, and Grant this year, it'd be huge. But
absolutely,
I just don't think that's the vision.
Nope. Anyway, chat, if you got any other questions, let us know.
I think maybe this would be good to save for tomorrow, but there was a rumor today that the Bucks were interested in Matisse Thybulle, but that Thybulle would use his veto powers and not want to go to Milwaukee because of Doc now being the coach there. So we've talked about Thybulle to Milwaukee and why I don't think it makes sense based on the contracts they have. Without having an expiring to give up. Maybe you can find a third team that wants Patty Connaughton, but I have a hard time believing that Thybulle would want to go there. Maybe he sucks it up, but I also don't really like their assets, and they're not trading Bobby Portis for Matisse Thybulle. That would make no sense for them.
Yeah. Yep. Tomorrow we'll be live on our second channel, Blazers Uprise Podcasts. Link in description box below if you want to catch that stream on the second channel. Marjan, give me Marjan. I just don't see why they'd give up Marjan for Thybulle.
It doesn't match Thybulle.
And yeah, they have to give up Connaughton, so you could flip Connaughton for an expiring probably, and then that would make some sense. I don't know. We'll see with Thybulle. There's been a lot of games where he hasn't played too much, so I think the team is willing to move off him if they get something back, but I think they'd need at least 2 seconds back to recoup the investment they made in him.
Yeah. Milwaukee does have our pick, which is 35 right now, right?
Yeah.
Which we, for some reason, did not.
Between 34 and 39.
So I don't know how we do not have that pick right now.
Yeah, how do we not get that back in the Dame trade? You're telling me they would have said no to Dame over the 35th pick? I mean, come on. But, shout out Brandon Romero, $5 donation. Appreciate you, Brandon. He says, did we get fleeced from the Dame trade? Williams played like one game, LOL. Ayton Butterfingers. Malcolm getting traded. Our future is bright. The Dame trade, it wasn't a win in terms of value. I don't know if I want to say we got straight up fleeced. The Ayton part was separate.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah.
But that doesn't look like a win anymore, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like a loss. The Dame part of it was basically Dame for Golden State's pick this year, which looks like it's going to be late lottery, as well as a 2029 Boston unprotected first, a 2029 Milwaukee unprotected first, unprotected Milwaukee pick swaps in 2028 and 2030, and Malcolm Brogdon and Robert Williams. So whatever we get back from Malcolm Brogdon, you toss on top of
what you just said.
Yeah, what I just said. Sorry, I was like looking at I need to fix the alert.
And I think because initially I wanted nothing to do with the Milwaukee trade because of Drew Holiday. Up until I had completely missed this, but a week before we traded for him, I guess he changed his mind and said he was open to playing longer. But at the time, I thought he had said that he was only playing to the end of his contract, so I didn't think he was going to get anything from another team. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it's weird though, because we could talk about the trade all we want, who won, whether we got enough value or whatever, but we're still 5.5 years away from knowing if we got good enough value or not. So we could always, those picks that Tori mentioned could all end up being good, and we could say we fleeced them if we got like a top 5 pick out of that, just one of those. Maybe not fleece because it's Dame, but like we did pretty well for ourselves. But those picks could all also be near the late 20s, and like none of them end up being anything worthwhile. So, and we don't even exercise the swaps because we're not better than the Bucks. So, yeah, it's still yet to be determined in my mind, and that starts with this trade deadline and trading Malcolm.
Yep, agreed. But Robert Williams III, a lot of people act like he was an amazing pickup, but they weren't really acknowledging the reality of his injury issues. I wanted to flip him before the season. People are like, this is the center we always needed. What are you talking about? Well, he's very injury prone. And Portland bigs that are injury prone probably are going to get injured because all our players get injured regardless. So, and then look what happens less than 10 games into the season. Same thing with Brogdon. It's like maybe we can get more back more value, so it made sense to keep him, but it's a logjam when all 4 guards are healthy. Now,
they haven't really been healthy.
Yeah, it hasn't really been a problem. For better or worse, it hasn't really been a problem because players have been out. Ant's missed time, Sharp's now missing time, so it's been fine. But when all 4 are healthy, it becomes problematic, and the Blazers play a bunch of 3-guard lineups that struggle defensively, not due to any one of the guards specifically, due to all 3 of them having to play together. So
and not having the right 4 or 5 to counter.
Yeah, that too. So, got to trade Brogdon for sure. That's going to remain the status quo. We'll see when it happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you add another interesting young player to pick, like let's say the Grimes in a first thing, I think that starts to lean that trade even further away from it being a fleece or whatever. I wouldn't say it was a fleece. I do wonder, like, who knows if he's the same player in our system, but if we had like Hawkes right now, are we in a lot better shape? I don't know.
I mean, if you could have gotten 4 picks and Hawkes and Jovic, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a chance that Hawkes is better than any of the picks that we got. And that's what this trade is going to come down to is, does Milwaukee suck in 2028, 2029, and 2030?
Yeah.
If they
or
suck,
at least 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah. This trade will be great. If somehow they're still contenders, this trade will look bad. Mm-hmm. This trade will look noticeably bad. So they need to suck. If Boston sucks, then I guess it looks good too, but I'm not really counting on that, and we don't have pick swap rights in 2028 and 2030 with them. If Milwaukee is picking the top 5 in the draft and we're a playoff team, we get a top 5 pick 2028, 2029, and 2030. So that's basically what it comes down to.
Yep. A la Boston and Brooklyn, or New Jersey at the time.
Yeah. Are you trust the process part 2? LOL. I am all for trying to accumulate as many assets for our veterans as possible, with our sights set on a window from 3 to 10 years. 3 to 10 years from now. This team is not going to contend, in my opinion, in the next 3 seasons, so hanging on to a Jerami Grant, who's going to be like 33, 34 before we ever even have a legitimate chance of contending, just doesn't really make sense because he's going to diminish. I'd rather cash in on full value for him right now in terms of future assets that will be valuable in the window of time where this team might be contending, compared to letting Jerami Grant depreciate and then sitting there maybe on the edge of contention, but we have to upgrade Jerami Grant and we don't have as many assets to do so because he's not as valuable on the trade market. So it's all about just trying to maximize that window of time where we have a legitimate chance to win. So that's why I want to trade Jerami Grant. That's why I want to trade Malcolm Brogdon. That's why I want to trade Thibault. Ayton's a little different. I just want to cap dump him because I'm not a fan of his game. I'm not a fan of his effort, and he's inconsistent attitude. You know, the quotes he said yesterday is exactly why I've been out on him. He had a good game today, but you know, it's the exception at this point, not the rule. So
yeah. MGJJ123, the $5 donation. Sad part is we had a trade Dame. Could not put other players around him. Will cost us a lot of years to rebuild.
Thank you for the dono. Yeah, it's going to be a process. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think we have to bottom out because we already have. I mean, Philly had Embiid and Simmons. Embiid sat out, 2 years before he played? And Simmons sat out at least a year? Or did he sit out 2 years too? Didn't they both sit out at least a year, if not longer? Like so they had the value of having some good players on their team, but those guys didn't play. And then so I think, I mean, obviously we don't have an Embiid level player, I don't think, but I think other than that, we have a pretty good jump on just the first year of it. So we do need eventually, hopefully, to get a 4 or 5 that's, a really good player. But as of right now, it's hard to predict that or anything.
Yep. Anyway, anything else, Eric, for this?
No. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Hope to see you on our second channel tomorrow. Once again, that's called Blazers Uprise Podcast, and the show is called Blazers Uprise Live. And then we'll see you all again on Friday night for the next postgame show.
Yeah, that game on Friday night is against the Spurs in San Antonio. Tips off 6:30 p.m. Another chance to watch Scoot versus Wemby. So the postgame show will be going live around 9 p.m. So hopefully we can catch you on that postgame show. Should be a fun one as the Blazers have a lot of games coming up. You got 4 games next week, including Dame's return. And then we get into trade deadline time, and we're going to ratchet up the trade talk between now and then. Once again, thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this postgame show. Once again, if you want to enter to win Super Bowl tickets, the giveaway, the last day to enter is tomorrow. And to enter, what you do is place a bet on any NFL line and share your bet slip on X/Twitter, minimum of $25. Tag the official BetUS account, and the friend that you're inviting, Eric, wants you to tag him because he wants to go with you. And then use the hashtag. Yeah, Hoopshock. Use the hashtag BetUSLVIII. So what you see on the screen is how you enter the BetUS ticket giveaway for Super Bowl tickets. You got to place that bet by tomorrow on the NFC or AFC championship game in order to enter. And that's how you can win Super Bowl tickets to the Super Bowl this year in Las Vegas in early February. So shout out to them for sponsoring this postgame stream. If you sign up with them, make sure to use the link in the description box below for 125% deposit match. They have 24-hour payouts, 24/7 customer service, good sports book over there. So thank you to them for sponsoring the postgame show.
I was going to say, if you aren't already a BetUS customer, use that deposit match, place your bet, and you have a bunch of extra free money to place other bets too. And you're entered for possible Super Bowl tickets.
Yeah, they're doing a lot. Better? They're celebrating their 30th year anniversary, so they're doing a lot over there. They're giving away a truck as well. There's a tweet on Twitter. Let me see if I can find it, and I'll post it in the chat if you guys want to enter to win a truck. You have to guess a player silhouette. Here you go. Link in chat to the tweet if you want to enter to win a truck from them, which would be pretty sick as well. So shout out to them for the giveaways they're running right now. And we'll be live again tomorrow on the second channel, live again on Friday here on the main channel with the post-game show after the Spurs game. Taylor Packer asking for us to bring back Scorching Trails. We will try. I asked Steven this past weekend to record, and he said, yeah, I should be able to find time. I was like, just let me know, and then we didn't text each other again. So, unfortunate, but definitely want to record something with him sometime soon, because I need to argue, you know. I need to.
Yeah. It
revitalizes me. It makes me feel alive, you know. So
gotta get that passion back in your life.
I know. So I'll try and get a Scorching Trails episode out soon. Definitely want to do that. And with that being said, Eric, we're out of here. We'll catch you guys tomorrow or hopefully Friday. And until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.